top four seems to be almost a two-horse race now, with United definitely falling behind quite a bit, which we won't touch on too much. But Spurs beat Newcastle 5-1. It was a really, really resounding victory and thoroughly deserved as well. Now, the system seems to be clicking into place at just the right time. And Antonio Conte, to his credit, has really persisted with his philosophy, really. And the players that he picked this time around weren't particularly nailed on first 11 starters. And all of the goal scorers were a bit odd, really. They weren't regulars for the team, but the fact they slotted into his system so seamlessly and the result was so resounding must be encouraging for Spurs at this stage of the season, surely.
Massively. I mean, you can't not be encouraged when you see that they're now in fourth place. Granted, Arsenal have 2 games in hand, and you definitely expect them to beat Crystal Palace this evening with the way that they've been playing. But also, no team has scored more goals in 2022 than Spurs. They've scored 30 goals already this year.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, they're on a real incline in terms of their attacking output. Obviously, 5 in this game really helps. To me, when you see that front 3 in particular of Kane, Son and Kulusevski, they're fantastic. They seem to be working really well together. They operate with a lot of pace in the wider areas with Son and Kulusevski. And Kane has found that new ability to just drop deep and be a playmaker, as well as being one of the best finishers in the league. So it's a wonderful problem to have for Conte, that now people like Bergwijn, who were really are relying on cameos off the bench and getting goals. So there's depth in that Tottenham attack, which is really benefiting them. And they're finally seeming to piece together a defence and midfield that looks efficient. Because that's what we've said all season with Spurs. We wondered whether they would be able to structure any sort of centre-back pairings or anything that would work. Was the midfield too weak? Well, they brought in Bentancur, who slotted in brilliantly. I think he looks really, really good. Still disappointed he didn't come to Villa. And at the back now, they found this new role for Ben Davies. Romero is finally coming through as the player we expected. And if you look at Spurs' win record with Eric Dyer in the side this year, he's been brilliant. He's had a really good role at Spurs. And I thought
fairly criticised, really. He didn't deserve the criticism he got. I mean, I was one of the people that probably did criticise him. But I think because he's so versatile, that's almost his weakness. But to see him at centre-back and doing okay, that's encouraging.
That's such an Antonio Conte thing to do, though. A versatile player that he can utilise, who can be quite heavy-handed on the pitch and kind of get himself about. Conte loves that from his defensive players, and him and Højbjerg are pretty much made for that sort of system. So I'm not surprised to see them getting some sort of success from that. They do need to be more consistent still, Spurs. This is a brilliant win. I thought Spurs looked excellent. And like you say, it was systematic. That's what won them this game. The fullbacks played incredibly well.
I think for me, it's the link-up play between the front 3, which I don't think we've seen since the days of Christian Eriksen was part of that trio, or when Lucas Moura was actually in good form.
Yeah,
he's been struggling. But to see Kulusevski step into that attacking trio seamlessly, really, is encouraging. What does this do for Harry Kane if Spurs do get Champions League football? Does he suddenly think, I can stick around? Or is he still looking to get that Man City move that he wants?
He won't get a Man City move now. Man City won't go in for him this summer. I'm quite confident of that. They signed Julian Alvarez, and I think they'll be looking quite heavily at Erling Haaland as well. I can't imagine them going back in for Kane with the kind of figures that are being touted. The thing with Kane is, I think he'll have 2 more years after this season on his contract. And he's already talked really highly about Antonio Conte and how much he likes working with him. And I think his options to move on are becoming more and more limited. Really, the most obvious destination for him if he leaves Spurs is probably Man United. Do you want to make that move right now? I don't think he'll move this summer. I think he'll stay at Spurs again. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a new contract from him if Conte signs a longer deal as well.